Hi, this is Dr. Schaus again, your course designer, and I'm going to be talking in this short video about two of the big things that you have due at the end of the semester, so at the end of the term. The first is the major research paper. We're going to be looking at a number of different environmental cases this term, and this allows you to pick one that's of interest to you and research it in depth. Now, there are going to be, it's due week 7, but there are going to be several stages where you're going to have to submit something to kind of indicate that you're making progress toward that. And there are points for each of those intermediate steps as indicated in the syllabus. The first couple of weeks, you get to think about what your project's going to be. The third week, you need to formally submit a paragraph to describe this is my research topic. This is what I hope to investigate with it. This is the specific case or aspect about that I want to talk about. Week 4, you're going to submit an annotated bibliography. 4 of the other weeks, you're going to have annotated bibliographies due for the case that we're investigating. So this is going to become kind of a regular part of what we do this semester, but we also want you to do that for the case that you're investigating on your own. And these are going to be papers that you intend to use in the final paper. Also, during week 3, you'll have a chance to set up a synchronous meeting with your course instructor to talk this through, to get some feedback, to see are there things you can do to focus it or examine something specific with it in order to kind of improve your ability to do a good quality research paper on this. So week 4 is the annotated bibliography. Week 5 is a rough outline or a draft. Kind of depending on where you're at, different people are going to be at different stages. We want you to think through in terms of outlining your paper. What's going to be in the first section? What's going to be in the second section? What's going to be in the third section? And then within those sections, what are kind of the sub-points that you want to make within each of those? And do you have research then to help support those? If you're a little further along, your instructor can accept a rough draft at that point and can provide feedback. Now, I've always found for my courses that the more work that a student does, the more helpful feedback I can provide in order to give them feedback to help them further refine their projects. So I hope you see that as well, but we at least want some evidence of work on it, and we'll kind of evaluate where it's at. And then week 7, the final project will be due, the final paper, and it's about 8 pages. Type double-spaced, 1-inch margin, Times New Roman, APA formatting for the bibliography. And that's 8 pages of text, not including the bibliography, not including figures or tables or additional supplementary material that's added into that. Then the other project is going to be called a story map, and you're going to learn how to do this in week 5 of the course. But I want to give you some options for what you're going to do for your story map. And so I've identified 3 cases that you can choose. The first is an endangered species. So week 5, we're going to be talking about endangered species, critical habitat, conservation of endangered species, different forms of restoration. One choice you have, in addition to the annotated bibliography, is you can choose to have that as your story map, and you're going to use ARC Story Map. It's an Esri product. They make GIS software, and you can use that to basically tell a story, and you can integrate pictures and maps and things like that. It's a really useful tool to kind of disseminate your ideas to the general public, and that's something that we want you to learn in our program as well. So critical habitat for an endangered species is one. The second option is our case for week 6, which is green buildings and sustainable cities. You might choose to design a green building. It's going to be located in a specific place. It's going to be for a certain company, or it would be a house tied to certain aspects of the landscape. It might be in the middle of nowhere. It might be in the middle of the suburbs. It might be downtown. Root it in a specific geographic location, show how it ties to other things that we talk about in the green buildings and sustainable cities. So that would be another one that you can use pictures and maps in order to tell a story using ARC Story Map. And the last is what I'm going to call a sense of place. Now, one of the things that we're talking about in week 1 is Last Child in the Woods. It's a book by Richard Louv. We're not having you read that for the course, except for a little excerpt from the start to give you kind of a taste of what that book is about. But it's getting you to think through, what are my deliberate connections to the natural world? So for myself, I have a garden in the backyard, and I like to go out there and work and plant and try to get things to grow in the backyard. I try to keep up with the compost. This year, the weeds are winning, but I'm going to work on that. But it kind of refreshes my spirit, and it gets me back connected to growing things in the natural world. Aldo Leopold said that there are 2 spiritual dangers in not owning a farm. The first is forgetting where the food comes from, thinking that food comes from the grocery store, and the other's forgetting where heat comes from, because you would have to cut and split and haul your own logs and put them on the fireplace and things like that to truly remember in his case. So it can be little things that you're doing as a part of your life that kind of root you in this place that you live. What connects you to the natural world? Maybe it's taking your dog for a walk every day. Maybe it's deliberately making time to hike in local state parks or national parks. Some sort of connection that you have. It could be fishing. It could be places that you go bicycle. Ways that you get away from the mechanized world and deliberately connect yourself to the natural world. It could be bird watching. So one thing that you can do as a part of that is tell that story, how I connected to the natural world, but use maps, use pictures, use our story map to help illustrate your deliberate connection. So that's the third option that you can choose for your story map. And as we get a little closer, we'll be talking about that a little bit more. But I wanted to kind of plant the seed of those 3 connections that you have, and the 3 things that you can tell a story. And this gives you a chance to kind of pick and choose what you want to highlight, what you want to emphasize, what you're excited about, and bring that to the course. All right, thanks.